this moment. It's a mixed market. Dow up 135 points. The S&P 500 up 7 points. And the NASDAQ down 26. Coming up, flurries in the air. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 101.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
For 72 hours, you can save up to 50% off when you buy tickets to your favorite Tuacahn shows this season. Get the best deals on tickets to Tuacahn's Broadway shows, like Disney's The Little Mermaid, The Wizard of Oz, Newsies, Elf, and $1 Million Quartet. Visit tuacahn.org now through February 13th. Use promo code 72radio for buy one, get one, up to 50% off Broadway tickets. That's 72radio at tuacahn.org.
Advance your career at the USU Salt Lake Center Leadership Luncheon on February 13th. Accelerate your future, network with others, and gain critical leadership insights provided by the esteemed Utah State Executive MBA faculty and others. Guest speaker Scott Hammond, a professor at the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University, and an award-winning author and teacher, will inspire you and share how to build a culture of high reliability and lower stress. You've heard him on KSL News Radio. Now come meet him in person for an engaging discussion and quality learning experience. This event is free and includes a delicious lunch from Cafe Rio. Don't miss this opportunity to gain new business leadership skills to advance within your company, make a career change, start a new business, or achieve a life goal. Advance your career at the USU Salt Lake Center, 920 West Lavoie Drive in Taylorsville, February 13th at 11:30 a.m. Get info on the events calendar at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. Brought to you by the Utah State Executive and Online MBA.
You know that feeling? Your furnace is working way too hard to keep up with the cold, except now it's not actually as cold as it used to be, but the furnace still seems to be working too hard. And what if this means your furnace doesn't have what it takes to survive the winter after all? Whipple that away. Replacing your furnace now so you can stop worrying now is my job. Make your problem my problem. Whipple Service Champions.
Visit whipplethataway.com for our current special offers.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune, and guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's RV Better Than Show Pricing on-site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork. You'll get free admission, free parking, and better than show pricing on our entire inventory at both locations. Not just a few models we hauled to the show. Find pricing starting as low as $139 per month on approved credit and make 0 payments until May OAC. Plus, every remaining new 2024 on the lot is on clearance. And Bish's is the only place to shop the exclusive full lineup of Wayfinder RVs. Start shopping the best deals now at skipthervshow.com. Get free admission to the Better Than Show Pricing on-site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin. OAC, based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 84832, 84308. Subject to prior sale. See delivery details. Deal number 822B426B.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
Wet and snowy out there, and we do have 2 crashes. One in the clearing stages southbound I-15 in Davis County near Park Lane in Farmington. It's been moved out of traffic to the shoulder. And we still have the crash on southbound I-15 at 6 North in Salt Lake. It's still blocking a left lane of traffic. The Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys at Murdoch Chevrolet. Right now, take up to $6,250 off a new 2024 Equinox. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're going to see some snow flurries today as the high reaches only 32 degrees. Tomorrow, that dips to 28 degrees, though it'll be drier. Thursday, Friday, we'll see a high of 45, but it comes with a mix of rain and snow. Right now, it's 26 degrees with some light snow. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Well, it's a battle between two branches of government on the national level, and probably not what you're thinking. This one is between the executive and the judicial. There are still fights looming between the legislative and the executive, and we're also going to be talking about some interesting things on the state level. But right now, we're going to talk about some interesting discussions, fights going on between the executive and judicial branches at the federal level. Welcome to Inside Sources. I'm your host, Erin Ryder, here with Taylor Morgan. Taylor, J.D. Vance, over the weekend, Vice President J.D. Vance, posted on X that he thinks the judicial branch is doing things, telling the executive to do things that are outside of the judicial branch's purview. What do you think about this?
And I would guess that the judicial branch, judges would say that the executive branch is acting outside its lane when it comes to its authority.
Well, that's why they've issued these rulings.
And so this is exactly why we have these checks and balances and why it's, frankly, going to be a very interesting 4 years to watch this play out.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's not uncommon to have new presidents try and push the boundaries of the law. Every president really has done that. It's one of the reasons why we have a federal government that has continued to expand over time. But what's interesting about this is what happens if the judiciary branch issues a ruling and the executive branch says, thank you for your ruling, we don't care, we're going to move on anyway and do what we want to do.
Yeah, that to me, because now we're beyond the checks and balances set up, right, for very clear, significant reasons, right? We need to have an independent judiciary that can act as that check and balance out the power of both the legislative and the executive branch. But when members of the other two branches, if they respond to a ruling by the judicial branch and basically say, yeah, we don't care, we're going to do what we want anyway, then we're in trouble, perhaps, right? Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And this, we're going to talk about judicial stuff for a few segments here in different forms. And the crux of all of this to me, the big overarching theme to me is constitutionality and the constitutional principle of separation of powers. This is just something that is absolutely ingrained in who we are as a country. It's one of the things that has held this country together for so long. And because these checks and balances make sure that no one branch is able to go too far outside of the bounds that they should be operating under. And when you have a circumstance like this, some people are talking about this as a potential constitutional crisis. I don't know if I necessarily go that far. I think a lot of what comes out of President Trump is bluster, and J.D. Vance is probably going right along with that. And that's not to say there shouldn't or couldn't be tension between them, right?
Yeah.
Even J.D. Vance saying, hey, you're telling us what to do in the purview of it's outside of your reach. This is executive branch stuff, and you don't have the right to tell us how to run the executive branch. That's not an incorrect statement.
Yeah.
But how those things work themselves out is, like you said, going to be really interesting.
Well, so I would push back against those who call this a constitutional crisis. I think that's a bit alarmist, a little dramatic, probably some political motives behind that criticism. I actually would argue that this is exercising the Constitution. This is exactly why we have the Constitution, and the Constitution is working, right? Just by the fact that we're having this conversation, that the courts are pushing back, right? That those who are challenging President Donald Trump in his orders are using the judiciary to check that power. I think this is exactly what it is set up, and how these branches were set up, how it was intended to operate, and it's entirely normal and expected that these branches of government would push and check and balance each other out. So I think people need to just maybe calm down. We're not in a crisis, not yet at least. I'm not saying there won't be one, Aaron, but this is how it's intended to work. Aaron, here, let's pivot. I want to ask you, how much of this do you think is in response to Elon Musk and Doge?
I mean, that's certainly a huge part of, well, that's an interesting question. Some of these judicial orders are responding to Doge, right? And some of them are, we're talking about in particular the one saying, no, Doge, you can't actually access Treasury information, right? I think that J.D. Vance probably would say this no matter what, because if Doge weren't there, they would find another way to do this.
Sure, that's
right. They
right.
came in with an agenda to do this.
Yes.
And they are trying to do it through Doge, but they would have done it some other way.
Yeah.
So Doge really is a red herring in all of that, I think.
Let's listen. We have a great clip from ABC's Jay O'Brien with a little context on some of these challenges as related to Doge.
So much of the pushback on this effort of President Trump's and Elon Musk's and Doge to revamp, curtail, make serious cuts to the federal government is being litigated through the courts. And what J.D. Vance tweeted over the weekend and set off a firestorm is that in his view, the judicial branch is not able to curtail the exercise of the executive branch's legitimate power. But of course, that's what the judicial branch does in the Constitution.
So I'm going to be a little bit of a lawyerly nerd here for a second.
Yep.
Interesting is he's talking about this. He's saying that J.D. Vance is saying the judicial branch is not able to curtail the exercise of the executive branch's legitimate power. I think that everything turns on that phrase, legitimate power, that word legitimate, right?
I don't disagree with any word of that. I think
because that statement is a correct statement. But whether or not Doge and whether or not some of these efforts are legitimate, that's really the question.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be litigated. And so, but this is how the process works. If the executive branch does not like these court orders that have come back, what do? They appeal it. They take it up the chain. And eventually this probably goes to the Supreme Court. My guess is that the Supreme Court is going to have a very busy few years.
Yeah. Well, and there's been all this reaction and outrage to what J.D. Vance said there. I can't find anything wrong with what he said. And let's not forget that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are certainly not the first administration to criticize the courts and to push back, right? Let's not forget that President Barack Obama criticized the court's ruling on immigration, right? And health care. President Joe Biden also was very vocal criticizing the courts about their rulings related to student debt forgiveness. So,
in fact, President Biden talked about expanding the court
he did
multiple times throughout his presidency.
Look, we often have short memories when it comes to these kinds of things, and we pretend that the sky is falling when it's not. And, one thing I've learned about politics is that it's all cyclical, and there's really nothing new when it comes to politics. It's literally just going through the same cycles and the same messaging over and over, Aaron. And I'm sorry, that sounds really depressing.
In a political Groundhog
Listeners, please stay with us. Don't turn off just because you're now depressed.
The show is not over.
Yeah. All I can say, Aaron, is it's predictable.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I do agree with you that we need to be careful not to be too alarmist too quickly. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be watching. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be paying attention. And it doesn't mean that things couldn't get to the point where they are alarmist. However, this is how this plays out. And Donald Trump is going to try and do a whole bunch of things over the next 4 years. But he's going to be curtailed by both the legislature and the judiciary. And if those two branches don't get on board with where he's going, then it's going to be a lot of talk and not a lot of action.
Just don't sue. Let us have Greenland, okay? Red, white, and blue land.
Red, white, and blue land. Yeah. That's right. Well, next on Inside Sources, we're going to continue this, but we're going to bring the conversation local. Here in Utah, the state legislature is looking at a few bills that would directly affect the judicial branch of government here in the state of Utah. Our special coverage continues after these messages.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Whether you're a day person or a night person, Beatty, Nevada has something for you. During the day, visit the ghost town of Rhyolite or the Goldwell Open Air Museum, where you'll find modern art meets nature in the desert. For the outdoor adventurer, Beatty has hundreds of miles of hiking, biking, and trails to explore. Discover old mine and mill sites, petroglyphs, and more. Or take your picture with one of the resident burros walking around town. Sample award-winning chili at the Happy Burro, or barbecue ribs smoked daily at Smokin' Jay's. Beatty has affordable rooms and RV parks, friendly people, and the largest candy store in Nevada. At night, look up to some of the darkest skies in the West for an unforgettable astronomical experience. You're not going to want to miss the annual Death Valley Dark Skies Festival, coming up February 21st through the 24th. Beatty is located just 7 miles from the Death Valley National Park. That's Beatty, Nevada, day and night. For more information, visit BeattyNevada.org.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home, your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter, and this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org. Are you tired of the pain and discomfort caused by those bulky, ill-fitting dentures? Sick of feeling self-conscious when you eat with family and friends? It's time to take charge. Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's best of state winner, is here to give you your freedom back. Say goodbye to dentures and say hello to the All-on-X dental implant procedure, the permanent, life-changing fix that lets you chow down on your favorite foods without a care in the world and flash that confident smile once again. With cutting-edge technology, you can have a brand new permanent smile in as little as 24 hours. Yes, you heard right. Fast forward to finals and let your new smile steal the show. And here's the best part. Your consultation is absolutely free. At Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's #1 dental implant center, they've helped thousands of patients love their smiles again. You could be next. It only takes 60 seconds to start your journey to a happier, healthier smile at StubbsDental.com. That's StubbsDental.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Here in Utah, the state legislature is looking at ways to change the judicial branch of government. It's not just federal, Aaron, this fight between the branches of government checking the power, balancing each other out. This is happening right here in Utah. We had some pivotal rulings from the courts here in Utah last year that impacted ballot amendments put on the ballot by the legislature.
And I want to clarify real quick. In the last segment, we were talking about the federal court
government
system, right?
Yeah.
The federal courts. Now we're shifting to state courts.
Right,
So
state
this
courts.
is different.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay, so some might say, Aaron, that the legislature is trying to weaken the judiciary. They might be punishing judges for some of the rulings that I mentioned. Others say the legislature is working to ensure a proper balance between these branches of government. So we're going to take a look at a few bills that are making their way through the process on Capitol Hill right here in Utah, starting with one that is relatively new. This bill would affect the threshold required on the ballot for judicial retention elections. And fortunately, gratefully, we have with us State Representative Jason Kyle, the sponsor of this bill, is here with us for that conversation. Representative Kyle, thanks for taking a few minutes to join us. I know how busy you are on the Hill. We're really grateful to have you. Tell us about this bill and what you're hoping to accomplish with it.
Yes, thank you for having me on. I started running this bill. I understand the timing. I was kind of listening to your segue there, but it actually doesn't really have to do much with has been going on recently, but it has to do with me in talking with my constituents. And a lot of them have been asking, they don't know much about the judiciary branch. And and I've also heard from people that have had not so great experiences with a few different judges. And so I started looking at what the accountability looks like for our judicial branch. And so I went and I looked at 25 years worth of election results, and I found that only two judges in the last 25 years have not been retained. And what my bill does is it would set a threshold of 67% to be retained as a judge. And I chose that one because I feel like that it sets a reasonable bar, and that number's not set in stone. I'm willing to work with it, but that number would push out two other judges that did make it through the ballot. One thing that I want people to think about is, so there were two other judges that made it through with 55 and 56%, but I think we should be thinking about, do we want those judges as our judge if we had to go before them? Do we want the judge that only made it with 55%? If you're in front of them, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence. So I think most judges get about 80%, and they sell through pretty easily. But
and if I can, Representative,
there's a little bit of accountability.
Just to interject really quickly, and perhaps back up the point you made that this is not any kind of retribution for the state Supreme Court rulings against the legislature last year. We looked, and the Chief Justice of the court, Justice Durant, he was retained with 77% of the vote just in November. So 67%, of course, is well below the vote he received. And he was, of course, the Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court, the court that ruled against the legislature. So I think that's an important point to make.
Yeah, correct. I understand the timing, how it may look to some people, but that's not what I'm trying to accomplish here. What I'm trying to do is just bring more accountability to that branch of government, and where we are keeping the best judges. I think we in other elections, you have options. In the judicial branch, it's them or nothing, right? They're not running against anybody. It's do we want this judge? Are they the best quality judge that we can have? And a lot of times that may be no. If, like I said, if you get a judge that gets 55%, you might want to think, hey, is that a judge we want to keep around?
So, Representative, I have a question. I know a lot of people who don't even really know what to do with this portion of their ballot when they get it. I've had many friends ask me, what am I supposed to be voting on here? What am I doing with this? How do I know whether or not I should be retaining someone? I'm just wondering, as part of this, has there been any discussion on the back end of how do you maybe help the judiciary be more visible or accessible to the public so that when we're voting on retention of judges, voters feel like they actually have some level of confidence in how they can vote? Because I'm curious, looking at these numbers with 55%, like you said, on a couple of these, is it possible that people just didn't really know how to vote, and so they just chose yes or no? I mean, I know some people who've kind of randomly gone down the list and said yes, yes, no, no, and done it in a pattern or done it in all sorts of ways, right? I'm wondering, so I'm just curious to know, I love the idea of making sure that we have accountability for our justices, that we know they're doing a good job. But there's this piece of it for me that I wonder about. How do you make sure that voters are engaged enough to vote in an educated way on this?
Yeah, honestly, I've struggled with this as a policymaker. It's really hard because you don't want the judicial branch to be too political, right? You want them to just follow the law. And I think we have some other legislation that other legislators are working on to try and help make things more transparent for voters. Right now, we do have the Utah Judicial Performance Evaluation Commission, and they help with things, but I feel like that's a fairly imperfect process.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at it and don't know what that means, and they don't understand how all the rules and criteria.
Yeah.
So I think there are other legislators that are working on that. But what I feel like is, from my perspective, if you can't get 67% on the ballot, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So
we're speaking
you've
with
done something to.
Sorry, go ahead, Representative.
To mess up, really.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just want to make sure our listeners know that we're speaking with Representative Jason Kyle. He is the sponsor of House Bill 451. This would increase the threshold required for a judge to be retained on the ballot, moving it from 50% plus to 67%. Representative Kyle, my understanding, and I've been aware of judicial retention elections for a very long time, and my understanding of them is that most judges just get retained by default. I think the default vote for most voters, we know there's a lot of drop-off, right? Aaron, you make a good point. Not as many voters actually vote in retention elections as do all the other races. So there's a big drop-off. Yet the voters that do cast a vote in those elections, they tend to vote yes by default. And so an argument that could be made is when there is an incompetent judge, a judge that probably shouldn't be a judge, requiring the no side of that, right? Where citizens who want to oppose that judge or had a bad experience with a bad judge, it is so hard for them to run a campaign against a judge, right? So increasing the threshold to 67%, I think maybe empowers citizens to essentially take judges out.
I think so. It does change the math a little bit, and so that is a possibility.
Representative Kyle, I'm not putting you on the spot. I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do, Aaron. Maybe you do. What is the threshold requirement for confirmation in the Senate when a judge is nominated by the governor? Is it 50% or is it a 2/3?
You know what? You are putting me on the spot.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Representative.
I'm in the House.
Yeah, to be fair, you are in the House of Representatives, not the Senate. I don't know the answer. I should know, so I am even more embarrassed than you should be. So we'll find out. We'll find out, Aaron.
Google search away, but
yeah. Okay, Representative, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. We will look forward to watching this bill and how things develop.
All right. Thank you very much.
Listeners, stay right here with us. We're going to continue the conversation about changes to the Utah judiciary. There's a decent chance Aaron Ryder and I might argue in this next segment.
I think there's a good chance.
You will not want to miss it. Stay right here.
Good afternoon. It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shaleos. KSL's top local story. The legislature is cracking down on police department quotas. A new bill would put the state attorney general's office in charge of oversight. The AG's office could withhold grants from a department if they continue to require quotas for stops, citations, or arrests. The bill's sponsor, Senator Todd Weiler, says it will help drivers and officers.
I don't want them to wonder, well, was I pulled over because the officer needed to meet his quota today, or what I did was it really wrong, or was it because this officer is being forced to write so many tickets?
Weiler says ending quotas would also take some stress off the officers, allowing them to focus on other elements of their job and keeping the city safe. Our top national story from ABC News. We are learning details about an incident on board a Hawaiian Airlines plane that had to return to Honolulu this weekend.
Point Chevy, you have a significant amount of exhaust coming out of the left side.
When Hawaiian Airlines Flight 22 lifted off from Honolulu, air traffic control noticed what looked like smoke coming from the left engine.
Point Chevy appears to be like a light gray in color.
273 people were on board. The pilots turned the plane around and it landed safely back in Honolulu, where it appeared it may not have been smoke, but instead fuel spewing out of the wing.
Yeah, I think that plane spilled a bunch of trailer jet fuel.
The audio from liveatc.net. Hawaiian Airlines says the plane had an engine issue. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow up by 140 points, more than 0.25%, sitting at 44,612. S&P up by 4, but the NASDAQ is down by 51. Coming up, it looks like we may see a little bit of dry weather tomorrow, but more storms in the forecast. We'll take a look next. KSL News Time, 1:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And did you know that we get a bunch of service calls per year from people who didn't even hire us? That means they originally hired someone else to replace their siding, gutters, and windows. Then later, when a problem popped up, they tried to call their contractor back to fix it, only to find out that the contractor has ceased to exist. They're gone, done, out of business. At RGS Exteriors, we've been serving Utah for 70 years. As a fifth-generation owned contractor, we've got customers who are the grandkids of our customers we had in the 1950s and 60s. We're not going anywhere. We will be here when you need us, period. For siding, gutters, and windows, now and forever, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit at rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Dating has been so dicey for us, so we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age. Brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep. But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Ricky, how's this wet weather affecting the drive?
We have another accident eastbound I-80 just after Foothill Drive. Those vehicles are over to the shoulder, but we do have backups eastbound I-80. That starts as you're approaching 2300 East. Advanced Window Products offers Graber window coverings. High-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Ricky Neese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Bit of a break from the showers tomorrow, but they return on Thursday, 50% chance, and then back to 90% chance on Friday. Right now it's snowing and 27 degrees. I'm Maria Shilaos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
We are continuing our look at legislative bills that could affect Utah's judicial branch. And to clarify again, this is the state judicial branch here in Utah, not the federal. Last segment, we talked about judicial retention. Taylor, I kind of want to wrap our conversation from last segment into our conversation this time around. We're going to add in a couple of other bills about judicial standing and suspensive appeals. These bills, specifically Senate Bills 203 and 204, are being run by Senator Brady Brammer. Unfortunately, he's under the weather and couldn't join us today, so we're going to talk about this and hopefully have him on in the future. But let's just sort of, I want to talk about these together. What were your thoughts, Taylor, coming out of our last segment on the judicial retention thresholds?
Yeah, I'm still thinking this through, Aaron. I see arguments on both sides of this. Of course, last segment we spoke with Representative Jason Kyle, who is sponsoring House Bill 451. This is a relatively new bill. This would raise the threshold required for a judge to be retained from 50% plus to 67%. Mm-hmm. A lot of the criticisms about this bill revolve around the perception that this is somehow a revenge bill or retribution on the judiciary here in Utah for the rulings last year against the legislature. Mm-hmm. I can see that. I can see that perspective. However, I don't think that's what's happening here.
He was pretty clear about the fact that was not his motivation.
And I mentioned last segment that we know Chief Justice Durant, who presides as the Chief Justice at the state Supreme Court. That is the court that ruled against the legislature. He was retained with 77% of the vote in November. So Kyle's bill wouldn't have an impact on him. So I can understand why people would see that, Aaron, but I don't think it's legitimate.
Well, so I'm going to push back on you just a little bit here. What I find
Are you checking and balancing against me, Aaron?
Yes, I am. I said at the beginning of the show that for me, the big theme of this entire conversation is this idea, the constitutional principle of checks and balances and recognizing the differences between the two. These other two bills that we're sort of adding into this conversation, Senate Bills 203 and 204, we're talking about judicial standing. We're talking about suspensive appeals. The basic idea there is that the legislature is trying to change the definition of standing to say that you have to be the person who actually feels the harm, right? So in order to bring a case, you have to have standing, and only someone who feels that harm can bring that. Even in association, a third party can only bring a case if their association members are on their own able to bring the case because they have standing, right? So really what this bill does, in my view at least, it directly targets the lawsuit from Better Boundaries against the legislature with the judicial redistricting. Because Better Boundaries...
How do you think it targets them?
Well, Better Boundaries likely would never have been able to bring this lawsuit in the first place because Better Boundaries is not an entity that could vote. And if you remember in that lawsuit, the idea was the legislature did not abide by this independent redistricting commission. They didn't accept any of the proposed maps. They drew their own, and therefore we have these gerrymandered districts. But Better Boundaries is an organization.
But they're not the plaintiffs. Right? There are individual voters and the League of Women Voters.
League of Women Voters
and Mormon Women for Ethical Government are the organizations that are plaintiffs, and then a few individuals, right? Better Boundaries is not a plaintiff.
But what they're saying here is that those organizations, Mormon Women for Ethical Government, League of Women Voters, they could not have brought that lawsuit.
Oh, okay, I see. All right.
Individuals could because the individuals can vote.
Got it.
Right? But League of Women Voters can't vote in an election.
Right.
The entity, right? Yeah. MWEG can't vote in an election.
Good point.
So that's what this does. Yeah. It sort of targets not to say that lawsuit still wouldn't have been brought. It likely would have, but it just would have had to have been brought in a different way.
I see.
Now, I don't have a problem with the idea of standing generally, because standing is an important principle. You need to feel the harm in order to bring a lawsuit. It's what prevents a lot of frivolous lawsuits from being brought to the courts. So, yes, you should have standing. But I am a little bit concerned about all of these bills together in this one legislative session. It looks like the legislature is stepping over that balance of powers line a little bit.
It definitely appears that way.
Yeah.
The optics aren't great.
The optics are not great. And my hope would be that the legislature would appreciate optics, because if we learned anything from the Amendment D process, is that optics and process matter. They matter to the public. So do the process
well,
right.
in fairness to Senator Brammer and his colleagues in the legislature, I was at the committee hearing yesterday where this bill was brought up. It was held in committee previously last week because of some of these concerns, I think. And the bill was changed. And according to Senator Todd Weiler, who was chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee at the hearing yesterday, and Senator Brammer, they recognized some flaws in the original version, and they had been trying to work with some groups to improve it and address some concerns. They substituted the bill yesterday in committee, and then the bill passed out. So I don't. Again, I'm not saying that it's doesn't still have issues, but they did respond to the optics at least and tried to work and improve it.
Well, and I would hope that they continue to do that. And look, generally speaking, I like our legislature. I think our legislators have the best of intentions when they go into the session. But looking at this from a constitutional angle, I do get concerned.
Yeah.
Now, Taylor, I just want to ask you, going back to the judicial retention question for a second, do you think 67% is the right number?
Well, I think it's 2/3, which is 66.6, and let's just round up to 67, I guess, is the math, how we got there. I will say my question to Representative Kyle about what is the threshold required in the Senate for confirmation of a judge when the governor nominates someone, that is only 50% plus of senators. So that I think that's an interesting point. I'm sorry that I didn't know the answer to that question at the time, but I found out. So I think 67% is just fine. And I maybe am looking at this through a different lens. I've been involved indirectly with some campaigns in the past to vote no on a judge. And it is so incredibly difficult for a volunteer citizen group to take out a judge that I don't mind lowering the threshold to get a judge out if the judge is incompetent or has shown bias or has not been a good judge in the courtroom. I'm not opposed to requiring a lower threshold to remove an incompetent bad judge.
See, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but where I do disagree with this is that I feel like we have not actually hit on the correct question yet. And the correct question is how do you define whether or not a judge is competent or incompetent? Because that could look different to different people. And if we're saying incompetency is showing up late and or never appearing in court or something like that, okay, then I think we should expect you to do that. But if incompetency means you came out with a ruling that I didn't like, I am very concerned and opposed to the idea of raising a threshold for retention just because of a ruling that someone didn't like.
Yeah.
So, to me, I feel like I would prefer to see more in Representative Kyle's bill relating to how are we actually evaluating these judges.
Yeah,
if we want to hold them accountable, that's fine. Let's hold them accountable. But how are we holding them accountable?
Well, and I also, Aaron, one of my concerns is how big of a drop-off there is on the ballot
huge issue.
from voters who don't actually fully participate in judicial retention elections, right? We need to do a lot more here in Utah. If we're going to have judicial retention elections, then we need to invest in educating voters, engaging voters far more effectively in those elections. And, in that case, if more voters are participating in judicial retention, I think raising the threshold actually further strengthens the footing of the judiciary. That's my read on it.
Yeah, I still don't know that I agree with that. Sure. But here's the thing, right? Like, I would bet, and this is purely anecdotally, I don't have any evidence to back this up. Just from my conversations with people, my guess is that most people guess when they go down that section of the ballot. If they fill it in, Like, are you really taking the time to go look up the judicial reviews?
Maybe, but I think voters do that on a lot of races.
I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. I thought we were going to get a lot more heated, Erin.
I know, I did too. And
There's a lot left, a lot of time left in the show.
There is. Next on Inside Sources, when does the right to practice religion in peace go against national security policies? It's a question 27 religious groups are asking as they sue the Trump administration over ICE arrests in churches. We'll go in depth with KSL's legal analyst coming up next.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Coach Coney Dungy, the first African-American head coach to win a Super Bowl, when he led the Indianapolis Colts to win Super Bowl 41, shared a profound question that he asked his team the first time he met them. He said, "Are any of you motivated to do better by a coach who yells and swears?" Well, no one raised their hand. "Then I won't do that," he said. Well, the same thing's true with employees and children and even students. Yelling, shaming, and profanity evoke fear, but not better performance. Learn more about becoming a motivating leader with an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness, and Utah isn't immune.
With nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or some other form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. KSL has teamed with 988 Utah, the free suicide and crisis lifeline, to bring you hope and help you thrive.
If you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988.
Because a healthy mind matters.
Transform your home into a haven this Valentine's Day with Zero Res carpet and air duct cleaning. Nothing says I care like a pristine living space. Did you know your carpets can trap up to 40 pounds of dust and debris each year? It's time to refresh your home. Zero Res uses a patented cleaning process without harsh chemicals, ensuring your carpets stay cleaner longer and are safe for both kids and pets. Plus, with faster dry times, your carpets will be ready in hours, not days. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $109. And if you mention KSL News Radio, you'll get a hallway clean for free. Looking to go beyond carpets? Zero Res offers upholstery, tile, and even air duct cleaning. And with their Gotta Love It guarantee, if you're not satisfied, they'll re-clean the area for free within 30 days. Let Zero Res help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call 866-ZERO-RES or online at zerores.com to schedule your appointment today.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served. Or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Hi, this is Kathy.
And Jason from Window World.
Jason, other window companies are offering their big specials again. What's our special?
Our special is the same low price every day for every customer all year round.
Wow, Window World is different.
We don't jack up the price to offer a phony discount like other companies.
No pressure, no games. Hey, call Window World 801-281-8111.
Or check windowworldutah.com.
Window World, simply the best for
And
less.
as Doug always said,
that's no baloney.
Your little one deserves a big welcome. From before the baby bump to baby in your arms, Common Spirit Health OBGYN physicians and certified nurse midwives are here for the labor, the love, and every moment in between. We specialize in prenatal, pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum care to help you navigate this journey with confidence and joy. So when the big moment arrives, you can welcome baby with the warmest hello of all. Hello, human kindness. blackmountain.commonspirit.org.
It's time for the Sportsman's Vacation and RV Show February 13th through the 16th at Mountain America Expo. Save $2 at UtahRVShow.com.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
One of the recent changes to immigration and customs enforcement, ICE policies, was the dissolution of churches and places of worship as protected places. That change meant that ICE agents could conduct raids in churches to find and capture immigrants who were here illegally. Now, this change has prompted a lawsuit from more than 24 churches throughout the country against the Trump administration, saying these raids would be, quote, devastating to religious practices. Welcome back to KSL Inside Sources. This is Taylor Morgan here with Aaron Ryder. Aaron, what is your reaction to this lawsuit?
Well, in a minute here, we're going to talk to KSL's legal analyst, which is not me. But I will just say that I think this is not at all surprising to see this come through.
Yeah.
I mean, from the minute Trump said that, the idea of sanctuary in churches, seeking asylum in churches, has been around for a long, long time. And this butts right up. Again, we're talking, this is kind of a day of constitutional discussion.
Yeah.
And this butts right up against the First Amendment. And so, like I said, not surprising to see this come through.
Yeah, well, let's bring on one of our favorite guests, KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. Greg, what do we need to know about this lawsuit?
Well, fortunately, Aaron kind of explained it a little bit there, and that is that churches are saying, look, we have forever, at least for a very long time, been known as a place of sanctuary, a place of solace, a place where you're not going to expect the government to come in and raid you. And we've deserved that status, and they're filing a lawsuit to preserve that status. And whether and to what extent the courts honor that remains to be seen. I don't want to digress too much, but some schools have also indicated their willingness to protect students there too, and said, government, stay out of our schools. But I think churches hold they're in a better position to make the argument than schools, because schools are sort of designated as public institutions, but churches are not. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult for ICE or for the courts to say, no, we think that law enforcement officers should be able to enter churches at any time and question and even perhaps detain people that are there.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, looking at this constitutionally, it is a fundamental principle in the Constitution, this idea of separation of church and state. And so when you've got the government stepping into the realm of churches and into the world of churches, the courts are just so hesitant to give the government a lot of leeway on that. And so I agree with you, Greg. I think it's going to be difficult for this to move forward. What do you see as how far do you see this going? Do you see this going all the way up to the Supreme Court? Are we looking at another kind of First Amendment case before the Supreme Court, or does this get resolved before then?
Well, it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court unless the Trump administration decides it's a step they don't want to take, unless they voluntarily say, okay, ICE, okay, immigration agents, don't go into churches, and then it'll be moot. But as long as they've got that policy in place, Aaron, it's going to continue through the courts. It has continued through the courts, working its way up through the trial court, which is where it is now. It'll go into the circuit court and ultimately the United States Supreme Court, and they'll decide whether or not the administration has the authority to do what no administration has done before. But again, sort of keeping with promises that were made about getting illegals out of the country. And it's going to be a real problem, because we have, on the one hand, the people have decided they do want to crack down more on immigrants that are here illegally. And on the other hand, our churches are saying there should be a line in the sand, and that includes places of worship.
Yeah. The lawsuit was filed in a Washington, D.C. federal court. 27 religious groups, including Baptist, Episcopalian, Evangelical, Methodist, Pentecostal, Jewish, and Unitarian congregations, as well as others, are behind this lawsuit. Greg, are there any other areas of the law or situations where the courts have ruled that churches can be a sanctuary space. I'm thinking maybe when it comes to guns, are there other cases where churches have special standing as protected places?
That's a great question. And, I'm thinking of guns as well, because I think that most people assume that churches have the ability to restrict the use of firearms or the possession of firearms and whatnot in their places of worship, even though the Second Amendment gives some fairly liberal descriptions of when a person can and will carry a firearm. So that's a great question that I don't know that I know the answer to, but the First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason, and it's the top of the charts, and it's the one that we take the most seriously, I believe, for very good reason. And the idea of the separation between church and state is so important to our democracy and so important to what we're doing that any infringement on that's going to be looked at very, very closely.
Now, Greg, I have to ask you, so, looking at these lawsuits, one of the things that these churches are arguing, or one line of argument goes along the veins that the Trump administration is infringing on religious freedoms by threatening their ministry to vulnerable immigrant congregations. So that's one piece of this. They're also talking about that houses of worship have seen decreases in worship attendance and social services participation due to fear of immigration enforcement action. I don't know about you, but to me it seems like those arguments are not nearly as strong as just, hey, we are churches, we are sanctuaries, and you don't have the right to step into our sanctuary. The argument of this is threatening our congregation. These are threatening our congregation numbers or our ability to provide services to immigrant populations. I don't know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that argument just doesn't seem as strong as just a pure First Amendment argument.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. And, even in my practice, we have certain levels of what we call confidentiality and privileges. And one of those is the priest penitent privilege. That is, a person who goes to a religious leader and says something, or just like Aaron, you and I both know about the attorney-client relationship. Some of these things are so sacred and such a part of our country and our Constitution for so long that we're just not going to break those up. And people should feel tremendous solace when they go into a church, and they should feel tremendous protection when they go into a church, knowing that things they say are not going to be used against them, and knowing that government agents aren't going to come in there and arrest them.
Yeah, Greg, how would you respond to the notion that because taxpayers are subsidizing these places of worship and also their activities, should there be more accountability when it comes to what these churches do when with those who are here illegally?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I agree to some extent. I mean, I was a prosecutor for years, and I would hate to say, a criminal can go hide in a church and know that for whatever reason they're protected there. It's a King's X area, and I don't think that any church wants to be sort of in that position. Yeah. And so there's got to be a balance. I don't know what that is. I don't know how we're going to strike that. We've done a fairly good job in this country for 200 years with that. We're testing that now, and we'll see how far it goes.
Yeah. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas, thanks so much for joining us.
You bet.
Aaron, what I really struggle with on this is that originally we were told by the Trump administration that only high-level criminals would be targeted, but I think we're going way beyond that. That's an issue. Mm-hmm. Stay right here on KSL Inside Sources. More coming up in hour 2.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story is breaking news. Officials say a delivery worker was killed yesterday after she was pinned between the vehicle and a garage. This happened at a home located near Huntsville in Weber County. Weber County Sheriff's Office says the 54-year-old woman was a third-party contractor and was not employed by the U.S. Postal Service. They say she was found pinned by a resident in the area who moved the vehicle, but she was already unconscious. County officials say she was taken to the hospital where she later died. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Aviation investigators are searching for answers after a private jet hit a parked jet in Arizona while trying to land on Monday, killing one person and injuring 3 others.
Early indications are the Learjet, owned by Motley Crue singer Vince Neil, had a landing gear malfunction when it touched down in Scottsdale, losing its landing gear. Surveillance video shows it skidding off the runway and slamming into a parked Gulfstream jet. The Learjet had 2 pilots and 2 passengers on board. One of the pilots was killed. The NTSB is now investigating what went wrong as the Learjet's landing gear touched down on the runway. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up 123 points to sit at 44,594. S&P up by just a couple points, and the NASDAQ down by 70 points. Coming up, we expect a bit of a change in the forecast. We'll check your weather next and get a look at your traffic as well. KSL News Time 2:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep. But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
The Western Hunting and Conservation Expo is coming to Salt Lake City February 13th to 16th. It's the biggest hunting show in the West, featuring Utah's top 200 hunting permits for just $5 each application. Visit with hundreds of exhibitors and see Rodney Atkins perform live. Get discount admission at Sportsman's Warehouse, Les Schwab Tires, Bass Pro Cabela's, and Utah's Toyota dealers. And best of all, you can apply to hunt Utah's biggest bucks and bulls for just $5 each. The Hunting Expo is brought to you by the Utah Office of Tourism. Get tickets and details at huntexpo.com.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. What are those trouble spots, Ricky?
It's I-15 at 6 North. We have 2 crashes, one on the northbound side, one on the southbound side. The one on the northbound side, the vehicles that were at the main flow have been cleared, but the vehicles at the ramp to join northbound I-15 at 6 North on the left and right shoulder still there. And now a new accident, multiple vehicles possibly involved with this one, southbound I-15 at 6 North, and that one is causing some slowing. Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account, plus continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Snow showers tapering off later today. Tomorrow, the dry day. Then Thursday, 50% chance of snow and 90% chance of rain-snow mix on Friday. Right now, light snow, 27 degrees. I'm Maria Chaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Could it become harder for the average Utahn to see public records? If you're curious about what your legislators are doing, for instance, could new legislation make it more challenging for you to access public documents from your lawmakers? First Amendment advocates say yes, it could become harder with some proposed legislation. Legislators, on the other hand, say that their proposed changes would actually make things better for the public. Welcome back to Inside Sources. This is Erin Ryder here with Taylor Morgan. Let's talk about this. Now, just to kind of set the stage here, public records, the concept of public records means that we're talking about transparency with the public, right? And under the GRAMA laws here in Utah, any member of the public can request information from the legislature through these laws. So it's not just the media, it's not just journalists or others or lawyers or whomever. Anybody can go and request certain information under these public record changes. Now, we've seen a lot of discussion about this in the past with former Attorney General Sean Reyes. There was a lot of debate about his calendar, for instance, and I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. But let's talk about this. Do you think, Taylor, that these proposed changes are going to make it harder for the public or better for the public?
Well, I don't think these changes, and let's be clear, there are a few different pieces of legislation that would impact GRAMA. GRAMA, of course, is the acronym Government Records and Management, or Access. I don't know, Erin.
Utah Government Records Access and Management Act.
Thank you. We're in week 4 of the legislative session, Erin, and my brain is at 67%. Listen, I have issues with what happened with Sean Reyes, with him not disclosing his calendar.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think that it is reasonable to protect some pieces of information when it comes to public officials and their calendars and their schedules and everything. I think we have to be careful with how we approach this, because what I don't want to do is incentivize public officials to create personal accounts and calendars and try to move activities there. I think what is happening specifically here with Senator Mike McKell's bill would actually, because it would protect some information that would not be released to the public, I think that would actually help legislators specifically and public officials be more transparent with their calendars, their scheduling, with their communications.
If they knew there were some boundaries.
Does that make sense?
I mean, I feel torn on this. I'm not going to lie. On the one hand, I think if you are an elected official, you should expect that information relating to your job as an elected official is public.
Yes.
And and yes, the stuff with former Attorney General Sean Reyes, that was not good.
Good.
Let's just call it out for what it is. That was bad.
And
right?
perhaps it's not unreasonable to have a different standard for different types of public officials. For example, if you are the Attorney General, like Sean Reyes was, and of course Derek Brown is now, it's a full-time job, right? That's your job. And you should perhaps have a higher, broader standard when it comes to public information.
I don't know that I agree with that, though.
Well, let me make the point. The legislature, on the other hand, they are not full-time. It's a citizen legislature. They all have day jobs. They have careers, professions. They do other things. They're only full-time lawmakers for 45 days out of the year. And then they have interim meetings, the rest of the year, maybe once or twice a month. So for them, there is a conflation between work, professional, personal, and legislative. And I think we need to realize that lawmakers might struggle with that. Now, again, they are elected officials.
Yeah, that's my pushback. They are elected officials, and if you're honestly going to tell me that the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the state of Utah or the Senate President doesn't in many ways have as much influence and authority and impact on the state as the Attorney General, I mean, come on.
Sure.
Right? Like,
that was not my argument. Don't put words in my mouth, Aaron.
Well, but the argument is, just because it's a citizen-led legislature, just because they are part-time, I don't think excludes them from the requirement of being transparent with the public. And now that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be boundaries to that there shouldn't be, as an attorney, right? Like you know that your communications with the client, yes, they are privileged, but there are some things that are potentially discoverable. And so there was lots of conversation. Any law firm that you go work for will have conversations about how you're using text messages with clients, and how you're using your social media, and what things you're saying and not saying, because that could be discoverable and used in a lawsuit. So, there's a balance to everything. And I think some of it, too, is maybe understanding a little bit more about where they're going with this and seeing the language and kind of where this comes. Because as we understand it, the idea here is there's a test right now that weighs the public benefit under grandma laws. And if it's in the public interest to see information, then that's...
And it's a very broad definition.
It's a very broad definition.
And so I think Senator Mike McKell's bill specifically would kind of tighten that definition, and it would also make a change when it comes to attorney's fees, right? It would prevent the recovery of attorney fees after winning a case. Now, I think a lot of this, Aaron, ultimately goes back to the fact that when it comes to grandma and these kind of information requests, we're not really talking about the everyday citizen that is at issue here. I think what is happening with this bill is this is about media filing excessive grammar requests in some instances to simply mine for information, to try to mine for a story, for example. I do not think that is what happened with Sean Reyes. I really don't. But there are a lot of instances of the press abusing the grammar process just to try to find something that could be a story. I think that happens a lot, and I think when it comes to the ability to recover the fees in court after winning a case against the state due to grandma, I think that might make these media outlets more judicious and a little more targeted with their grammar requests.
But does it also put a chilling effect on members of the public who would have a legitimate interest in going after this? I mean, recovery of attorney's fees is a relatively standard thing in the legal world, right? Like if you bring a lawsuit and you're successful, then generally speaking, you should have the idea is that you should have the right to recover attorney's fees as part of that. Yeah. Now, does that mean that there couldn't be a way to sort of put some boundaries to dissuade the media from frivolous requests at for grandma records, right? Frivolous lawsuits without penalizing the public? Yeah, I think you could certainly do that, and I would have no problem with that. But, what I don't want to see, and again, timing is a lot of this too, right? I understand why we're dealing with this right now, coming right off of everything with Sean Reyes. However, if it looks like you are pulling back on transparency without providing people, without really clarifying that well, that only goes to further damage the trust between citizens and elected officials. And it's just something you have to be really careful with.
I think the optics are problematic on this, but I think what is really happening here is that we're trying to rein in the scope and scale and the cost of responding to grammar requests from the press. I think that is really what's happening here. I understand the pushback and the criticisms. I really do.
Our producer does not like what you just said there.
He's shaking his head in the studio, I'm sure. Yeah, well, Andy, this is my opinion. Look, I do not want to incentivize legislators to hide information.
No.
That's my point. I totally agree that they should be transparent and accessible, and they're public officials. On the other hand, we don't have a right to know what they're doing in their personal or their
That's
career
correct.
lives, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And so, like I said, I think it's just how you do this, how you navigate this is really important because you're dealing with something like transparency with the public, which is really just a pretty sticky issue in general right now.
Yeah.
All right, well, coming up on Inside Sources, here's a question for you, Taylor. If someone trespasses on your property and gets bitten by your dog, are you liable?
Answer, I have 2 English cream golden retrievers. Anyone who trespasses is only going to get a lot of love, Aaron.
Well, let's discuss a bill dealing with that next.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? It's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted my connected devices, more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff, streaming, my gaming, interneting, you name it. Xfinity knows the number of connected devices you have is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. Now through March 18th, get Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line, and ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
Right now at Hale Center Theater, a beloved classic by Louisa May Alcott that everybody is familiar with, delightfully comes to life on the stage. Little Women, the Broadway musical. This is something that generations have loved. The books, the movies, and now a lovingly enhanced version with the music. It's the story of the March family, and of course their 4 very different daughters. It reaches out and touches your heart in new and masterful ways. There are so many wonderful moments, but one that particularly spoke to me when old crotchety Mr. Lawrence can't resist joining Beth at the piano to sing Off to Massachusetts. There are so many moments, the voices, the staging, the costumes you're going to love. Little Women, right now at Hale Center Theater. And coming up next, Prince of Egypt. It's time to get your tickets. Get your season tickets, too, at hct.org, Hale Center Theater. Hi, this is Doug Wright, and over the years, you've heard me praise the Connecticut soft water systems. You've heard that so often, you might be tempted to chuck a shoe at your radio. Well, hang on, because I've got some great news. Get this, Connecticut will pay you $50. I'm not kidding on this. They'll pay you $50 to buy a competing water softener from another dealer. Ready for the rules, though? Well, they're pretty simple. Invite Connecticut of Utah to your home for a free estimate on a Connecticut water softener. If within 60 days of hearing them out, you buy any other system from any other water softener dealer, Connecticut of Utah will fork over $50. That's how sure they are that after hearing them out, you won't settle for anything less than a Connecticut water softener. Now, this offer does expire in 30 days, so don't delay. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com. Tell them Doug sent you.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune, and guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's RV Better Than Show Pricing on-site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork. You'll get free admission, free parking, and better than show pricing on our entire inventory at both locations. Not just a few models we hauled to the show. Find pricing starting as low as $139 per month on approved credit and make 0 payments until May OAC. Plus, every remaining new 2024 on the lot is on clearance. And Bish's is the only place to shop the exclusive full lineup of Wayfinder RVs. Start shopping the best deals now at skipthervshow.com. Get free admission to the Better Than Show Pricing on-site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin. OAC, based on 20% 5% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number is 84832, 84308. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details. Deal number 822B426B.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio. Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Today we've talked about legislative bills here in Utah on things like the judiciary, open records. Now, Aaron, we're going to pivot and talk about another very important constitutional topic. And of course, I'm talking about dog bites and how a dog you own biting someone who is trespassing illegally on your property, how that has come up in this year's Utah legislative session. I am Taylor Morgan. This is Aaron Ryder. You're listening to KSL's Inside Sources. Aaron, before we get to the dog bites, something slightly less important here. I just want to point out to our listeners that Donald Trump and Elon Musk right now are speaking live in the Oval Office, defending aggressive efforts to overhaul government. Elon Musk is wearing a T-shirt and a baseball hat in the Oval Office on camera right now. Aaron, let's go to this for just a minute.
Things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million,
right,
etc.?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at, if you look at, say, Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this.
We are listening live to Elon Musk and President Donald Trump speaking to the press in the Oval Office about efforts to overhaul the government by Doge, led by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is standing, wearing a baseball cap and a T-shirt under a blazer. Looks like he has one of his children with him, cute kiddo. President Trump is sitting at his desk in the Oval Office, engaged, listening carefully to Elon. Let's go back.
Controls that should be present that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything they approve all the payments at Treasury. Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints. But now we're saying that, no, actually, we are going to complain. If money is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay. Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely on things that matter to the people. I mean, these things, it's just common sense. It's not draconian or radical, I think. It's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, and there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, that's a case where, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, why is there no identifying information? Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately. I'll tell you another crazy thing. So, one of the things is we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this. Obviously, there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, let's, if people can retire, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments and everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told, no, the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because...
Well, Aaron, we have been listening to Elon Musk speaking live to the press in the Oval Office, standing addressing media there, flanked by his son, and then at his desk, President Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. I couldn't quite follow everything Elon Musk was saying there, Aaron, but I believe he is speaking about his efforts with Doge to overhaul the government, justifying, explaining what they're doing in relation to an executive order related to Doge here that Donald Trump is prepared to sign here in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Listeners, when we learn more about the specifics of that order, we'll certainly share that update with you. But at this point right now, Elon is still going on, and President Trump is listening carefully. I'm not sure when President Trump is going to actually sign the order.
All right, Taylor. And again, we don't know exactly what Trump is about to sign. However, with all the pushback on Doge over the last couple of weeks.
We all know what the DOGE acronym means. Do we need to say it? Department of Government Efficiency?
Well, you did, so thank you.
Okay.
I see this as maybe Trump trying to take the opportunity to justify Doge a little bit. I mean, he's got not just public pushback on Doge, not just Democrat pushback on Doge, which he probably doesn't really care about if we're being honest, but he's now got judicial pushback on Doge, which we talked about earlier in the show. So maybe, whatever executive order is about to come down the pipeline here, maybe he's also taking the opportunity to say, all right, Elon, come in and talk about things that you've found so far. Let's give the public some justification as to why you're here and show that we're doing a whole bunch of things by talking about all of the, fraud and waste and misuse and abuse and whatever else it is that they're saying that he's been finding so far in this. I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting, Aaron. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone speaking to the press live in the Oval Office wearing a T-shirt and a baseball cap. It's a dark gray, Make America Great Again hat. I think that's very Elon Musky, right?
Yes.
So certainly a moment that we are experiencing live here coming from Washington, D.C., where it also appears as if it is snowing outside, Aaron.
Just like here.
That's right. Okay, can we talk about dog bites now that we've dealt with Doge?
Yeah.
This is important, Aaron. Did you know that if someone trespasses on your property and is there illegally and your dog bites them, you can be sued?
I did know that.
Well, thankfully, Senator Kwan in our own Utah legislature is going to fix that. We don't have a lot of time to get into the details, unfortunately. Your reaction to this bill, Aaron?
I think that's probably a good change. This takes me right back to my torts class in law school, and I'm feeling, PTSD from torts. But, look, the idea here is that we've seen this in other instances too, where someone trespasses on your property and they get injured from something on your property. You can be liable for that. I like the idea that we're changing this to say, hey, if you are on someone's property illegally and you are clearly trespassing and a dog bites you, we're not going to give you an opportunity to sue over that.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Okay, coming up next, listeners, if you are a fan of Beyonce, I am about to yuck your yum. I have some hot takes on what happened at the Grammys when it comes to Beyonce. Coming up next.
Good afternoon, 2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. KSL's top local story this hour. If a school district wants to flip to a 4-day week and they want to do it by the book, there's no book. On Capitol Hill, Representative Christine Watkins is now sponsoring a bill requiring the state school board to create a process for the entire state. The bill would also require schools and districts to track student performance.
Sometimes when you take Friday away, Thursday becomes the new Friday and everybody leaves. And we just want them to be able to still be succeeding as students.
Representative Watkins says most of the schools and districts interested in a 4-day school week are in rural areas. The 4-day week would make it easier on athletes who have to travel far to compete. Road rage in Sandy, where 2 men have been arrested for allegedly chasing down a family, one of the men pointing a gun at the family. KSL News Radio's Adam Small with more.
This is according to a police probable cause affidavit, which alleges Jeremy Evans began yelling at the family and pointed a gun at them in their vehicle outside of an apartment complex near 8680 South 220 East yesterday morning. The family tried to get away, but documents claim Evans jumped into a vehicle with Aaron Heilman, who allegedly drove after the family, including through a red light at one point. Police say the family was eventually able to get away and call 911.
Evans and Heilman have both been booked into jail. Your money at this moment. Up day on Wall Street, the Dow gaining 123 points. Coming up, it's about to get cold again. KSL weather is on the way next. Stay here. KSL News Time, 2:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
Earlier crashes on the Valley freeways are cleared or almost cleared. However, snowplows are out right now. And that's because we're getting snowfall coating the roads, I-215's east and south belts, Cottonwood Heights, Holiday, and Mill Creek area, as well as I-84 going from Mountain Green over to the Highway 89 junction in Weber Canyon. Whipple Service champions your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialist. Whipple that away. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast, the snow showers will stop. Tonight we're heading down to 17 degrees. For tomorrow, the high temperature only 28. Right now, snow showers, 27 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. This is Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
2 days ago, musical artist Beyonce became the first black woman to win a Grammy Award for Best Country Album.
What?
I am so excited about this, Taylor. I've been wanting to talk about the Grammys on the show all week, and our producer has said no until today, so I'm very excited about this.
Wait, are you saying that for the first time ever, the Grammys became political, Aaron?
No, not. Well, yeah. I mean, surprise. An award show in general became political. Well, this one caught our attention specifically because shortly after the Grammys, our own Utah Representative Burgess Owens spoke to a journalist and said that Beyonce's win for Best Country Album was because of DEI. Now, we have reached out to Representative Owens' office for comment and to join us on air to talk about this, but we haven't heard back. So we're going to go ahead and keep going with this. But
he's right.
Well, okay, we're going to really disagree on this. Let's start first here by listening to the conversation between Representative Owens and Nicholas Balassi, a video journalist known for interviewing politicians and celebrities.
So, country music is so popular in Utah. What was your take on Beyonce winning Best Country Album at the Grammys?
I think that's the closest thing to DEI we're going to see right now. That is that. I mean, I'm not a country fan, but I can tell from the response from country fans, they did not appreciate that at all. You put all that hard work, you develop your fan base, you go out there, you work to develop a reputation, and all of a sudden somebody comes out of the blue because she's popular in something else, and she gets the best. Nobody respects that, and unfortunately, because of that, Beyonce will not be respected by that core group of people that she's now singing to.
You think it diminishes her respect overall?
I think it diminishes her. I think it diminishes the awards. And I think you have a lot more people. You're gonna have a lot less people watching as time goes on, and they'll realize it's fair. Fairness is what our country's all about. That's why we're so excited about what President Trump did with protecting women from men. We do not like unfairness. If we see that, we turn away, we go another way. And I think Beyonce and the Grammys, or whatever the Grammys I think it was, they're gonna suffer long term because of it.
Okay.
We have to give credit, of course, to the reporter there.
Yes, we do. So let's give credit again to that. That conversation comes from Nicholas Balassi's reporting and his conversation with Burgess Owens.
Yeah. Before we fight, can I clarify? I think it's important to clarify that Super Bowl champion Congressman Burgess Owens said it's the closest thing to DEI. He
does not change my opinion.
He did not say it's because of DEI.
Absolutely does not
change
my opinion.
Okay, well, let's hear you try to make an argument, and I'll respond, Aaron. Go ahead.
Taylor, I think you and our listeners all know that when the two of us argue, I tend to come out
Go ahead,
winning,
let's
and I
go.
intend to win
Let's
this
go.
argument as well.
Okay, tell me how Beyonce is a country artist.
Okay, perfect. Let's take a quick listen to one of her songs.
I like a good banjo.
This ain't Texas. Ain't no hold 'em. So lay a card
This isn't country. This is hip hop.
Oh, we are so not on the same page.
That is
Have
not
you
country.
ever heard a country
You know
song?
what's country?
Have you ever heard a folk song?
Listen,
Have you ever heard a bluegrass song?
Where was Zach Bryan, Chris Stapleton, Luke Combs? All had new albums last year, right? Casey Musgraves, Post Malone. had a country album.
Yeah, but the fact
Lainey
that we're
Wilson.
not going, come on, we're not going after Post Malone and calling him
Well, he was
DEI
a
star.
He was a nominee for Best Country Album of the
Yeah,
Year.
but we're not going after him and saying he was a DEI nominee.
No, we're not.
This was his first.
But Beyonce, Post Malone is not new to country. His album is legitimately country.
No,
Beyonce
Post Malone is new to country.
Beyonce is putting out a hip hop album that is introducing a few instruments that originated with country music. That doesn't make her a country artist or make it a country album.
Post Malone is absolutely new to country music. Beyonce, I will have you know, has roots in country music. She initially started trying to get into the country music industry.
TLC?
And was told
Or-
no. TLC, do you understand your 90s music?
I don't.
Clearly not.
I don't, because I don't care about Beyonce. And she is not a, look, go on Apple Music right now and look up country albums and you will not find Beyonce.
Okay, but here's the thing. She charted trying to get into the country music scene when she first came into the music area and was told no. And so this is her circling back to country music after all this time. This is not her first attempt to get into country music. And just because her album, Cowboy Carter, here's the real point of this argument, I think. It's not whether or not she should have won Best Country Album, because I think we can disagree about that, and I think there are legitimate arguments on both sides of whether or not she should have won Best Country Album. And to be clear, she won both she won Album of the Year and she won Best Country Album. Album of the Year, I think, was a little bit more predictable. Best Country Album, she herself was shocked when she won Best Country Album. Nobody saw that coming.
We all were.
Do not even go there. Okay.
Hold on.
But
Can I
here's
correct
the
myself?
argument.
Can I correct myself on the Beyonce group, Destiny's Child?
I'm glad you had to Google that.
I did have to Google it. I apologize to all of our listeners who are big Destiny Child's fans. I'm sorry.
You know, if you were a true millennial, you would have just known that.
It wasn't my music, Aaron. Not my style.
I know.
Not my style. Which
is
makes
why
it,
you're not really qualified to have this conversation.
No, it makes me
It's okay.
absolutely qualified because she is not a country artist, and we had so many great options nominated for this award.
The argument is not whether or not she should have won the award. It is an argument, and you can have that argument.
That a country album won country album of the year, that's not an argument.
My issue is that we are calling her a DEI win. That's my issue with this.
No, we're not. Nobody's calling it a DEI win. Congressman Owens, what he said was it's the closest thing to DEI.
It has nothing to do with DEI. Beyonce is a legitimate superstar and a legitimate musician.
Yeah, no one's arguing that.
Exactly, right?
But it wasn't a country album.
The arguments against DEI. I find this really interesting because there are a lot of problems with the DEI world. There's no question, and I think it has gone too far in one direction, which is where a lot of the pushback is coming from right now. What I don't want to see is that we take it too far the other direction and start hurling DEI as an insult anytime we don't like somebody achieving something or accomplishing something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whether or not Beyonce should have won Best Country Album is legitimately debatable.
Yeah.
But saying it is akin to a DEI win, saying it is akin to men's participation in women's sports, come on. I mean, that to me goes way too far past the line. And the whole point of getting rid of the DEI initiative is to say people should win things on their merit, and regardless of race, regardless of background, regardless of gender in certain circumstances, right? But it should be merit-based, not characteristic-based. So we need to model that discussion. We need to model what that looks like and what that sounds like when we're discussing things. And taking the argument over whether or not Beyonce should have won Best Country Album and throwing DEI into the mix of that completely defeats any sort of legitimacy in that argument.
Well, Aaron, I
win the argument?
I think you did. You made some great points there, and I don't know that I necessarily would have politicized it the way our good Congressman Burgess Owens did. I can see his perspective, and I am no fan of Beyonce. It was not a country album, and I'm just kind of upset that the other nominees that I thought were far more deserving. I was upset they didn't win, but good points made. I don't think we need to make everything into a conversation about DEI.
Right.
But there has been a clear history at these kind of award shows and in Hollywood of injecting politics into those. I'm not saying that happened here. I'm just saying that has happened, right?
I mean, come on. I think Cowboy Carter was a great pick for Best Country Album. I think Beyonce has done really interesting things
Try to
with that
find
album.
it on Apple Music or Spotify under the country genre section. You're not going to find it.
That doesn't mean it's not a country album.
Yeah, well, Apple and Spotify would
because
disagree
they are
with you.
the end
I don't know.
source
It's
of all truth.
where millions of Americans get their music, Aaron Ryder.
Yeah, but have you listened to Cowboy Carter at all?
No, why would I? It's Beyonce.
Again, you are not even
it's
qualified
not country.
to have...
Give me Chris Stapleton or Zach Bryan or Morgan Wallen. I'm not listening to Beyonce.
I am an absolute Chris Stapleton fan through and through.
Okay, well, Aaron,
but
we are
Cowboy
out of time.
Carter...
You have already won the argument, so let's move on.
I'm determined to win that, but it's fine. We'll let it go. Yeah. Okay. All right, Taylor, in our final segment, we're going to talk about paper straws. I love this. I love this conversation. President Trump is banning federal agencies from using paper straws. So we want to know, what do you think about paper versus plastic straws? Text us at 57500, and we're going to discuss it after these messages.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune, and guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's RV Better Than Show Pricing On-Site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork. You'll get free admission, free parking, and Better Than Show pricing on our entire inventory at both locations. Not just a few models we hauled to the show. Find pricing starting as low as $139 per month on approved credit, and make 0 payments until May 08. Plus, every remaining new 2024 on the lot is on clearance. And Bish's is the only place to shop the exclusive full lineup of Wayfinder RVs. Start shopping the best deals now at skipthervshow.com. Get free admission to the Better Than Show Pricing On-Site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin. OAC, based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number is 84832, 84308. Subject to prior sale. See delivery details. Deal number 822B426B.
For 72 hours, you can save up to 50% off when you buy tickets to your favorite Tuacahn shows this season. Get the best deals on tickets to Tuacahn's Broadway shows, like Disney's The Little Mermaid, The Wizard of Oz, Newsies, Elf, and $1 Million Quartet. Visit Tuacahn.org now through February 13th. Use promo code 72radio for buy one, get one, up to 50% off Broadway tickets. That's 72radio at Tuacahn.org.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Dating has been so dicey for us, so we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print it all for my business. Oh, if you can think it, Staples can print it, and will beat any print quote. Oh, great. I'm thinking new brochures and yard signs. No problem. I'm thinking calendars, t-shirts, and pens. Totally. I'm thinking Staples is the place for printing. I thought you might think that.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think.
All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
3 words. Back to plastic. Aaron, America's new golden age has begun. President Donald Trump last week announced that we're going back to plastic. This is Taylor Morgan alongside Aaron Ryder. Welcome to Inside Sources. So excited about this topic. Aaron, America is great again. Plastic straws are going to be the law of the land. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think anybody disputes the fact that paper straws are the worst.
I
to
hate
deal with.
paper straws. They are soggy after one sip. They're useless. Somebody hands me a paper straw, I'm going to need at least 20 of them to get through one drink. They're totally pointless. How many trees are we cutting down to make paper straws, Aaron?
My favorite post on X that I saw when this came out was a picture of a paper straw in a plastic wrap.
Never forget.
Never forget,
Yeah.
right? And I thought that is so great. I mean, look, I am all about trying to protect our environment. I actually strongly believe that good Republicans are good stewards of their environment and that we should be looking for good ways to take care of our environment.
Yeah.
So I have no problem exploring ways to deal with that. However, paper straws are not the answer.
Not the answer at all, Aaron. Here's my thing. I am so tired as an American. I'm so tired of suffering because liberal environmentalists are punishing us for what is being done by China and India and other. Do you know how many plastic straws are coming out of, Southeast Asia, Aaron?
I don't.
It's inexplicable. We do have garbage in the oceans. We do care about the turtles, Aaron, but that doesn't mean I have to suffer and deal with paper straws while the rest of the world gets plastic straws, okay?
Well, so we at the beginning or at the end of last segment, we asked you to send in text messages and tell us how you felt about this. So if you have thoughts, please do text us as we're talking, 57500. A couple of texts that have come in so far. One that I actually think is a really good point, that many paper straws use gluten in the glue. So for people with celiac, it's actually really frustrating because those straws are not safe. I had not even thought about that.
Take that, Democrats. Right? Okay, another comment. Paper straws are crummy and leave a bad aftertaste. Very true. Another text. I absolutely do not like paper straws. They fall apart after a bit. And I do not believe the whole narrative of why plastic straws should be banned just because they found one once in a turtle nose.
Yeah. So let me tell you a story. I was, one of my former colleagues felt very, very, very strongly about this subject. Strongly enough that he went to our corporate office staff and demanded that they put plastic back in all of our stuff, our break room and everything, and just get away from paper entirely. And we were having a team meeting one day, and he kind of just went off about this and said, plastic is so much safer. Plastic is actually better for the environment than these dumb paper straws. And I think he probably spent 10 or 15 minutes just talking about how plastic straws are actually much better than paper straws, and he will never, ever allow paper straws to be used.
There you go.
And so people feel very, very strongly about this.
Yeah. One text that I want to mention that I think is worth considering is that paper straws may not do much for the environment, but they are a symbol of a movement to support environmental causes. I think that could be a fair point. I don't know that I support that, but it could be seen as a symbol to perhaps move in a certain direction. Another text, Brian from Draper texted, first of all, paper straws are, I don't know if I can say that word on air, so we'll skip. Paper straws are bleep. They were always a terrible idea. On the other hand, is there something more important for our president to be dealing with? That's
also a fair point.
I would respond to Brian from Draper, no, there is not. This is one of the most important things, in my opinion, and back to plastic.
Well, I actually quite like the the biodegradable ones that are, I don't know exactly what they're made out of, but they're made out of some sort of composted material. When I went on vacation to California this last November, before you go after me for California and straw stuff, it actually was like these straws were pretty good, and they were in I think a paper packaging, but it was some sort of compostable biodegradable material, but it wasn't paper.
In fact, Aaron, we have a text. I like the biodegradable straws that some Costco and other stores sometimes use. I hate the paper straws and feel bad using standard plastic ones. So, there's an alternative, I guess, between just plastic straws or paper. There's a biodegradable option that might allow you to actually get through that drink with one straw.
Yes. And I don't mind a shift to that. Again, it's not that I am so pro-plastic that I have to have plastic. It's just that the paper straws are not a good alternative.
They don't work.
They don't work.
Yeah.
And when it's falling apart in your drink, and even if the gluten thing, right? Like they just don't work. So let's find something else to use them. I don't mind the fact that President Trump is issuing an executive order on this. Do you think this is a waste of time for him?
Not at all. Not at all. I think, we had one texter say that paper straws could be seen as a symbol of movement toward more environmental friendly policies. Yet, on the other hand, I think Donald Trump's statements on plastic straws could be seen as essentially a response to the environmental movement in a way like, pro-plastic, right? Pro-industry, pro-economy, just maybe a more business-friendly approach in opposition to the environmentalists.
I mean, what I would really love to see is just a general incentive. I feel like our conversations on environmental issues have become so binary, right?
Yeah,
it's
and we tend to shame people, right?
We're all for that.
We shame people for these things, right?
Yeah, and that drives me crazy. I would rather see us go back to an approach of creativity and ingenuity and say, let's explore a whole bunch of different ways to find new alternatives for things that we've been using. And, because when you get the paper straw and the plastic packaging, I mean, come on, you're just shaming people for using that. And it's not actually solving the problem. Yep. So I would love to change the conversation around environmental things to get away from shaming people and to say, look, we all want our world to be a beautiful place to live. We all want to make sure that we're taking care of the environment.
A great segue to this listener text. I can't save the world by myself, one straw at a time. Very, very true. Another text, Starbucks' fix on plastic straws was creating a lid that used more plastic in the long run. The whole turtle imagine with a straw in its nose got to people. Straws aren't the problem. Paper or plastic is personal preference. But we all know if someone picks paper, they are crazy. And yes, dear listener, I absolutely agree with that. No one would choose a paper straw, right?
Well, I don't know that I would say no one, because I know plenty of people who would choose paper straws. And you know what? That's fine. I'm not going to shame them for that.
That's right. Well, another listener texted in, I don't use straws. Not that I care about straws. I just like the taste of drinks with my own lips. Okay, listener.
There you go.
Not really affected by the plastic straw movement.
I want to go back to to the text you mentioned a minute ago. What was it that you can't save the world one straw at a time or something like that?
Yeah.
So again, I kind of want to hammer on this point a second more, I guess. I look around us and I see areas where you just have trash littered on the street, right? Like sometimes I walk my dog around my neighborhood and one of the streets is a more of a major thoroughfare and there's trash there. And I feel like you can save the world one step at a time, one piece of trash at a time, but pick your trash up, like throw your trash away.
Well, Aaron.
And that to me seems to be actually a better fix and a bigger fix than maybe plastic versus paper straws.
On the other hand, if you live in California or Hawaii, or if you work at a federal agency that by law requires paper straws, guess what? You're not going to find any plastic straws as litter because everybody wants to save them and keep them and reuse them. Right? So
they're hand washing them.
Well, great conversation. Donald Trump banning paper straws at federal government agencies. Very interesting, a lot of fun, Aaron. Probably the funnest news of my weekend.
I think Beyonce winning Best Country Album was the best part of my week.
Okay, you are trying to trigger me, and I'm just going to ignore that and say, listeners, thank you for tuning in today to Inside Sources. We'll be back tomorrow, myself and Rusty Cannon. Up next, it's Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock, KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. We're at 27 degrees with occasional snow showers in Salt Lake City. KSL's top story. Water everywhere and gotta shop. It stinks. Some people are buying water at the store because of the chlorine smell coming out of the tap for Weber Water District customers. As the problem persists, we turn to KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson. She's joining us live.
Jeff, that funky water people have been experiencing is because of recent storm runoff along the Wasatch Back that brought a lot of organic matter into the water supply.
We have just a higher than normal, we call it organic load, where we have to do extra treatment. It's got a higher chlorine demand, so we're adding more chlorine than normal.
Scott Paxman, general manager at the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District, says since adding that extra chlorine, they've started integrating more well water to balance it out, and the smell is now better on their end. He says if you're still experiencing a strong chlorine smell and taste in your water, it should filter through all the water district cities by the end of the week. Paxman also reiterated that the water was never unsafe at any point during this process. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Well, we have a deluge of water stories this afternoon. At the other end of the Wasatch Front, Provo residents are facing a huge hike in water rates. Some people are going to have to pay $1,000 a month. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera joins us live.
Jeff, during tonight's council meeting, members will vote on a proposal that would raise the cost of water by 12% in the first year. That percentage will only increase over the next decade. The tiered water rate structure is made to penalize residents who use the most water. Provo City Council Vice Chair Rachel Whipple called the need for a water system overhaul years overdue.
The water users who use the most are the ones who put us into that higher tier of having a more expensive system that we all are paying for.
Whipple says the average user's bill will go from about $48 to $54 a month. Whipple added that the council has met 8 times to refine the plan they're voting on tonight, and they'll be taking public comments during the meeting. Reporting live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Thanks, Eric. President Trump today doubling down on his threat against Hamas. Maria Chaleos is live at the KSL National News Desk.
Jeff, the president again warning Hamas to release all hostages by noon this Saturday.
I have a Saturday deadline, and I don't think they're going to make the deadline personally. I think they want to play tough guy, but we'll see how tough they are.
The president making the comments while sitting with King Abdullah of Jordan in the Oval Office. 6 Americans are still being held hostage. Russia today released imprisoned American Mark Fogel in what the U.S. is calling a step toward the end of the war in Ukraine. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz says the U.S. and Russia negotiated an exchange but did not say if the U.S. released anyone in return. Waltz describes the development as a sign that we're moving in the right direction to end the brutal and terrible war in Ukraine. Vice President J.D. Vance is slamming overregulation of artificial intelligence while at an AI summit in Paris.
We believe that excessive regulation of the AI sector could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off.
Later this week, Vance heads to the Munich Security Conference where he's expected to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky. President Trump has repeatedly threatened to cut off aid to Ukraine. Live from the KSL National News Desk, I'm Maria Chaleos, KSL News Radio.
What happens if the Trump administration cancels federal funds bound for Utah? Today, state Medicaid leaders were talking about the federal money that pays for 58% of Utah's Medicaid program. That's a program with 340,000 low-income users. Maddie Orrit with the Kem C. Gardner Policy Institute says the state's Medicaid expansion would probably be canceled.
Basically, we see, more uninsured people or underinsured people. We see higher utilization of our emergency rooms, and that essentially translates to uncompensated care for hospitals. So we can kind of get a feel for what it would look like if our expansion program went away.
Or it says they do have some money in reserves to help temporarily, but state leaders are actively talking about other contingency plans. In Midvale, if you see a commotion tomorrow, don't worry, it is not an emergency. Unified Police Department's going to be doing some training tomorrow afternoon near 300 East and Perrine Drive in Midvale. They say if you're near the area tomorrow, again, you can relax. No emergency. KSL News Time 3:05. It was a simple delivery to a home near Huntsville yesterday, but it turned gruesome. The delivery driver was killed by a car that pinned her against the garage door. Lieutenant Sean Ensley with the Weber County Sheriff's Office here.
The person that called, the bystander that reported it, was able to move the vehicle and unpin the subject, but they were not conscious.
Ensley says the 54-year-old woman was taken to the hospital where she later died. As to which delivery service, all we know is that she was not with the Postal Service. KSL News Time 3:05. Ricky Meese is here. We have a shortened show today. We have BYU West Virginia basketball, right?
Yep, go Cougs.
Yeah, the pregame is at 4 o'clock, and they're going to have to pry the microphone out of my cold, dead hands to start the basketball. So early, a 1-hour show.
Yeah, so if you tune in and you don't hear Jeff and his Minute of News, you will hear basketball, so stay with us. And Jeff, it has been... We've just been peppered with little crashes from Mother Nature. And right now, we're dealing with 2 crashes on I-215 South Belt going from Mill Creek into Holiday. One of those accidents may even involve a snowplow. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Thanks a lot, Ricky. My Minute of News is on the way next. Stay right here.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,025 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,025 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,025 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Looking for the perfect suit for that special occasion? Mr. Mac has the best suit selection for any occasion. And get winter clearance pricing today. Visit their 9 convenient locations or MrMac.com.
This is My Minute of News, brought to you by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air, anyhourservices.com. You know, you try and raise a kid. You set rules. There's a bedtime, no junk food late at night, earn your allowance, and along comes Grandma. Grandmas exist to shatter your rules and spoil your kids silly, like my grandma did. And the way my mom did with my kid and the way my wife does with our grandchildren. Grandkids are coming over. Grocery bill goes up. You need that junk food. It's nature. And for the proof that this is nature, we take a quick dive into the ocean, where we find one of the few species where grandma hangs around to spoil the grandkids. Can you guess which creature?
I'd like to be under the sea.
A new study published by the National Academy of Science shows that almost every species, mom raises the babies and then wiggles off to wherever. But grandma killer whales hang around to spoil their grandkids. 75, 80-year-old orcas will catch fish for their grandchildren. And if food is scarce, grandma will skip eating and go hungry, just so she can give the grandkids a treat. Kids, fish. In fact, one of the biggest factors that impacts the survival of an orca calf is whether its grandma is still alive. If grandma's gone, the odds of survival plummet. So stock up on those popsicles and buy that extra Christmas toy, Grandma. And when your daughter complains that you're spoiling the kids, tell her it's nature.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
We are going to start on the east side of the valley where snowfall has come down and just made a mess of I-215's east and part of the south belt routes. In fact, we have 2 crashes on the east belt going southbound. One in the Mill Creek area about 3500 south. The other one in Holiday just after 4500 south. Most of those are over to the right. Now, for those traveling southbound I-15, as you go from North Temple all the way into Sandy, you're looking good. However, traffic getting busy and slow southbound I-15 through Draper. From the point to Provo, you've got a straight shot with no problems in Utah County. The rest of your Salt Lake County freeways are seeing a good drive. Eric?
Of downtown, we've got good movement on I-15 going up into Layton and Ogden eventually. We do have some slowing over on 500 West and Bountiful for northbounders at some of those intersections. And the snowplows are out in Weber Canyon, so if you find yourself behind one, just be patient. Tax problems keeping you up at night? Get the IRS off your back. Let Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox stop IRS harassment now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, some light snowfall here across northern Utah as a weak storm system is moving through. That snow will taper off later this evening. Skies will go partly cloudy, and we're looking at a low of 15 degrees. 32 and partly cloudy on our Wednesday. Increasing clouds, south winds pick up, and a storm will arrive on Thursday. It'll start as valley snow, but then mix in with some rain on Friday and Saturday. The mountains get plastered, and the valleys get a rain-snow mix all the way into the weekend. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
26 degrees in Salt Lake City. We have these snow showers around. They'll end tonight. On the way on KSL News Radio, Inside Sources co-host Aaron Ryder joins us with a little bit about some judicial activity on the state capitol. Stay with us. We're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. If your home needs a paint job, I have a warning for you. It's work. That's why they call it a paint job. So do what I did. Leave the work, the job, to the professionals. I called 5 Star Painting. They've been painting exteriors, interiors, cabinets, anything but your car for years. And most important, they've been at it for 2 decades with thousands of satisfied customers, hundreds of 5-star reviews, and one of them is mine. From the initial quote and the color consultation to the work, because it is a job, right through the touch-up visit a couple of weeks later. Yeah, weeks after they're done, they come back. The 5-Star team took pride in their work, and they did beautiful work on my home. If your home needs painting, now's the time to book 5-Star. Mention my name, Jeff, and they'll give you a 15% discount off your quote. And the premium Sherwin-Williams paint will be free. Get on the schedule before we hit spring. Call them 5-Star Painting, 801-505-8052. Again, 801-505-8052.
All the other programs out there push the drugs, and I wanted to do it not using drugs.
Worried about all the side effects from the new weight loss drugs? Let Soda Weight Loss help you let go of the weight for good, without drugs, injections, or side effects.
It was just time. We saw ourselves in a picture and said, let's do it. And he called, and it's just been a wonderful journey. Soda has all the parts that made it successful for us to lose weight. The counseling without drugs, it's the best program in my book.
Soda Weight Loss is the #1 weight loss program in America for client satisfaction and results. And we have the proof at sodaweightloss.com. Right now, when you join with a partner, you only pay for one. Let Soda Weight Loss help you drop that belly fat faster than you ever dreamed, naturally. Go to sodaweightloss.com right now. Achieve your weight loss goals with your partner and only pay for one. New clients only. Join now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is state of the art. art.
Hey, Utah, it's the water boy, Colson Firmage here, a third-generation Culligan man. Are you tired of hard water wreaking havoc on your home? At Culligan Water, we offer top-rated water softening solutions that protect your appliances, keep your skin feeling soft, and make your water taste amazing. My grandfather started working at Culligan in Salt Lake City over 50 years ago, and Culligan is your trusted local water expert. Some would say we're the godfather of water systems. Do you know if your old water system is even running correctly? Give us a call today and schedule a free water test of your current system, any make or model. Just give us a call at 801-509-9602 or visit us online at culliganslc.com. In addition, receive $500 off a water softener, plus get free salt delivery for a year. Again, that's $500 off a water softener, plus get free salt delivery for a year. Enjoy cleaner, softer water and experience the Culligan difference. Call 801-509-9602 or visit us online at culliganslc.com. Culligan, water you love.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL News Time 316. The three things you need to know this hour first.
Provo residents face major water cost hikes as Provo City Council unveils a tiered water rate increase at tonight's meeting. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera.
Second, Weber County officials say a delivery worker was killed yesterday after she was pinned between the vehicle and a garage. Third, our biggest traffic trouble spot.
A crash into Willa County southbound Main Street in Stansbury Park, causing delays. We also have the final cleanup, but a tow truck at the scene of an accident southbound I-15 after 6 north on the right. And Salt Lake City PD wrapping up a crash with injuries, 1300 south and 4th east. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Light snow will taper off this evening and cold temperatures overnight. I'm Kevin Eubank.
27 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios now. Our top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor of Prime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. American Mark Vogel, held in Russia since being arrested on drug charges in 2021, has been freed.
This release, the big question is, what did Russia get in return? Was it a person? Was it somehow some kind of element that could be a feature of these talks, these negotiations? We just don't know for the time being. But clearly, I think it could also be, as the White House was suggesting almost, that it is an attempt to be a sort of sweetener, a gesture of goodwill to Donald Trump as they start to approach these potential negotiations over Ukraine.
ABC's Patrick Reevell. President Trump met with Jordan's King Abdullah at the White House, renewing his proposal that Gaza should be controlled by the U.S.
It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually.
The president also seemed to reverse course, suggesting he would not withhold U.S. aid to Jordan or Egypt if they don't agree to accept more refugees.
I think we'll do something. I don't have to threaten with money. We contribute a lot of money to Jordan and to Egypt, by the way, a lot, to both. But I don't have to threaten that. I think we're above that.
King Abdullah agreed to take in 2,000 children from Gaza. Steve Bannon, President Trump's longtime confidant, pled guilty to a fraud charge related to duping donors who gave money to a fundraiser to build a wall along the southern border. After the hearing, Bannon called on the Justice Department to investigate law enforcement officials in New York, including New York's Attorney General.
The existential threat is right here in this city. It is the queen of lawfare. It's Letitia James.
Under the plea agreement, Bannon avoids jail time. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says the wreckage removal from the Potomac River is complete following last month's mid-air collision between a military helicopter and an American Airlines jet. You're listening to ABC News.
And now the KSL In-Depth. The Utah legislature is talking about 3 bills that would impact the state's judicial branch. Joining me live, Inside Sources co-host Aaron Ryder. Aaron, thanks for coming on. For the casual listener who just wants to check the traffic, this must sound incredibly boring. So make it make sense. I know it's important. Let's make it interesting. What's going on here?
Ooh, tall order, Jeff. All right, let's see if we can do this. So the first bill, House Bill 451, basically raises the threshold for judicial retention elections. So that part on your ballot that everybody ignores at the very, very end on whether or not you vote to retain those judges. The proposed bill would increase the threshold from 50% plus 1 all the way up to 67%. So a judge would need to get 67% yes votes in order to retain their position. So that's the first bill.
It makes the job a little bit harder to keep your job as a judge.
Yeah, that's the basic idea. And what we would hope and what we, would love to see is that people become a little bit more engaged maybe in looking at these legislators and making sure that, not legislators, judges, and really looking at those judicial performance reviews to make sure that they're putting in, voting in a good way on whatever it is on those ballots.
Yeah, it is up to all of us. So we only have time for one more. So tell me which of these is the more interesting or more important.
Okay. Well, I think the next one I'd go with is Senate Bill 203, judicial standing. And what this does is it basically says that if someone's going to bring a lawsuit to a state court here in Utah, they have to have standing, which means that they have to personally be injured by whatever the law is in order to bring that. So it would prevent third-party organizations or things like that from bringing a lawsuit on someone else's behalf unless that organization actually had the harm done to them themselves.
This is all about keeping out organizations from out of state?
Not just out of state, but also in state. You look at the redistricting lawsuit that was brought. The League of Women Voters probably wouldn't have been able to bring that lawsuit on their own because they, as an organization, are not able to vote. But individual voters could have brought that lawsuit.
And where do we stand with these measures in the legislature?
Right now, they're working their way through the process. So, we have language for all of them, but that's about as far as we've gotten. I think some of them have passed out of committee, but that's as far as we are.
Not quite at the finish line.
Nope.
You know what? You made it interesting. We appreciate it. Erin Ryder, co-host of Inside Sources, we appreciate it. Let's get to traffic and weather together. Brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
A new problem in Utah County. A KSL listener reporting this trouble in traffic. It's in Lehigh. Right now I'm looking at a live shot of the traffic cameras, and it's showing a nasty crash. A lot of vehicles involved with this, blocking at least 2, maybe 3 left lanes of traffic, and some vehicles over to the right as well. This is southbound I-15 prior to 2100 North Lehigh. Expect delays. They're going to start stacking up very, very quickly. Now, in Salt Lake County, we have backups where we've had 2 crashes on southbound I-215's East Belt, one about 3500 south, the other one about 4500 south, which is still blocking a right lane of traffic and backing delays through Holiday. But the good news is that snow that came through and coated the road, that's starting to dissipate. If you're headed southbound on I-15 in Salt Lake County, it's getting busy and a little slow. Murray to Midvale and again in Sandy. And the rest of your Salt Lake County freeways are actually looking pretty good at this time. Eric?
Crash in Farmington. This is on US 89 north of Lagoon. About 1400 north, the left lane is blocked as a result, and we do have some slowing going through that area. Further up the line, there is some slowing as well as you head up into Layton. This is right at the intersection for SR 193. That's the road that you would take that goes at the south end of Hill Air Force Base. Weber Canyon, we do have the snow plows that are out. I-15 throughout Davis and Weber counties right now, northbound, that's looking good. Get started on your dream kitchen or bath countertops with special financing from Bedrock Quartz for up to 18 months. Visit bedrockquartz.com for details. That's bedrockquartz.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Kevin Eubank. I'm working from the home studio today because short show, and I'm looking outside. There's a 1/4 inch of powder. I could go skiing.
No, you couldn't go skiing, but there is a little fluff out there for sure. In fact, I went out and used a broom to take care of it off of my sidewalk. So about a 1/4 to an inch, like you said, even an inch up on some of our benches. Some of the resorts have picked up too. So this was just a weak little disturbance, but it's so cold out there that everything turned to fluff really fast. Temperatures have struggled. We've been in the 20s all day. Tonight, well, this little fluffy snow is gone. Skies go partly cloudy and a low of 15. Only a high of 32 on Wednesday under partly cloudy skies. We will see a bit of sunshine in the afternoon tomorrow, and then our next storm gets here Thursday afternoon. It'll start as a little snow, and then it'll mix over to rain and snow, and that valley rain-snow mix will continue Friday into Saturday. Highs in the 40s, lows in the 30s. The good news, this is a statewide storm. Northern and southern areas get hit hard, and the mountains will get plastered with new snow, so it's a definite win.
27 and snow showers right now. Thanks, Kevin. KSL News Time, 3:24. If George Washington was around, he'd say, President's Day sale, that's me. And he'd save $2,500 on brand new state-of-the-art double-pane thermal windows and custom frames from Advanced Window Products. Except poor George wouldn't be able to take advantage because Advanced Windows builds their windows here in Utah for Utah homes. They've been doing it here since Reagan was president, 1987. So here's a company in it for the long haul, a Utah company you can trust like Honest Abe. You get new custom windows, a great new look for your home, you save a ton on your heating and air conditioning, and because Advanced Windows builds the windows and cuts out the middleman, you save thousands. And more with the Advanced Windows President's Day sale. $2,500 off 10 windows or more. They offer 0% financing. They have buy now, pay later. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100 or go to advancedwindows.com.
I juggle a lot. And managing constipation with belly pain from my irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, with laxatives and fiber isn't enough. My doctor recommended a way to get ahead of it. Then I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
It's time for the Sportsman's Vacation and RV Show February 13th through the 16th at Mountain America Expo. Save $2 at UtahRVShow.com.
We're watching Utah's money. The Dow is up 123 points today. The S&P managed a 2-point gain while the NASDAQ was down 70.
You know that feeling? The weather starts getting colder, so you go down to check out the furnace and you look around and think, what am I even looking at? Because you don't know how these things work with all the lights and wires and pipey things. And then you think, I bet those technicians at Whipple went to school for this. Shouldn't they be here looking at my furnace? Whipple that away. Knowing what to look for on your furnace tune-up is my job. Make your problem my problem. Whipple Service Champions.
Visit whipplethataway.com for our current special offers.
Next movie show is brought to you by Sound Sleep Medical. Get a free sleep screening and free sleep consultation by tuning in Friday morning. Sound Sleep Medical with 7 locations in Utah.
Salt Lake Community College doesn't just support students. We support the economy.
Partnership we have with Salt Lake Community College provides us with that skilled workforce that really allows us to grow. Stadler is in an explosive growth cycle. Salt Lake Community College is the pipeline to give us that workforce that will keep us stable and provide us with that economic security.
SLCC is invested in creating a strong workforce for a strong Utah. See our impact at slcc.edu/community.
KSL News Time 3:29. We have emergency traffic. We're brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Ricky, what's going on?
Well, it's in Utah County. This crash has a lot of vehicles involved. It's a little difficult to see which ones are there to help or as witnesses, or actually in the crash itself. It's southbound I-15 prior to 2100 North Lehigh. And right now, UHP has all traffic temporarily stopped. Even when they start to let traffic move again, it is likely only going to be a few center lanes of traffic that will be open. And right now, we have stop-and-go delays reaching well past SR 92 Temp Highway. In Salt Lake County, a slow ride southbound I-215's east belt with an accident after 4500 south blocking a right lane. Spots of slowing southbound I-15 Murray into Draper. Eric?
Got good movement coming out of I-15 northbound. If you're heading up to Farmington, Layton, all the way to Ogden right now. Precipitation on the roads, but no delays. Get started. It's a new year and it's time to refresh your home. Choose 5-star and work with color experts to create the perfect look for your home. Schedule your consultation now at 5starpainting.com. Eric Butler in the Bell Traffic Center.
Well, a weak storm moving through Utah has produced some light snowfall today, a couple of inches up in the northern mountains. The light snow will taper off this evening and skies go partly cloudy with a low of 15. Partly cloudy and 32 for the high on Wednesday. Our next storm comes in Thursday afternoon and evening. It'll start as snow and then mix with rain as we head through the day Friday and Saturday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
You're listening to Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM
and 1160 AM.
3:30 at KSL. Jeff Kaplan here. 27 with snow showers. KSL's top story. Sandy police have arrested 2 men after a road rage incident involving a gun. Details from KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
It started yesterday morning at an apartment complex near 8680 South and 2nd East. In a probable cause statement, police say Jeffrey Evans is accused of yelling at 5 members of a family, then pointing a gun at them in their vehicle. That led to a chase, during which the family called 911 and got away.
They pulled into a populated area. They were away from the danger. They were able to flag down our officer as he was on their way to try and intercept them. So it worked out perfectly.
Sandy Police Sergeant Greg Moffitt says officers arrested both Evans and Alan Heilman, who they say was the driver, and booked them into jail. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
There have been 13 cases of road rage on Utah highways so far this year. Utah Highway Patrol says 3 in the last week and a half. These figures don't include road rage cases managed by individual cities. A Salt Lake City man has been charged with multiple hate crimes after allegedly assaulting a woman wearing a hijab last week. KSL News Radio's Verl Johansson has more.
The Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office charged Zachary Holman with attempted rape, forcible sexual abuse, and harassment on Monday. Police say the woman was holding a child's hand when she was assaulted.